call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, folks, if you have any phones on, please silence them. Right now, we're going to do a silent prayer for a minute. Folks, okay, thank you. I'm going to call the meeting to. I'm going to do a roll call. Today I will start. Commissioner Smith here. Commissioner Dove. Here. Commissioner Reed.
Here.
All right. Commissioner Culberson.
Here.
Commissioner Stephen.
Here.
All righty. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the governing body? Okay. Then we'll move on to administrative business. No county clerk report, I guess, today. Mark, do you have something?
Commissioners, I had sent you the report on the budgeted but unfilled positions. Per policy, provided you with that information. If the board would like to move forward with that, I will need to get direction to form a board order and have it on next week's agenda.
Say that. Could you please repeat that?
So the budgeted but unfilled positions,
Okay.
per policy, I have to provide a report twice a year. I've provided that report back, I think it's July, and the board decided not to make those budget amendments at that time. Again, per policy, I'm bringing it up before the end of the year. So if the board would want to make those adjustments, I will need direction to create board orders making that adjustment. I've given you the report that shows you the amounts. Just as we discussed in July, these funds roll over into the general fund if they are not spent. So some of this has already been allocated. In this report, I've already removed the amount of overtime because I think, as you heard last time, sometimes having these positions unfilled creates a higher expenditure in overtime to replace the work that they were doing. So I removed that from the report already, so the amounts there are after overtime. But as far as how it impacts the budget, it would not impact the budget. It simply moves those funds out of their specific line items for expenditure, but it still stays in the general fund regardless and will roll over one way or the other.
And these are 2025 unfilled
2025,
positions.
yeah.
So it wouldn't impact the 2026 unfilled positions. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we have the...
I have a question first.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if those funds are not, if the department needs those funds that we're putting back into the general fund, what procedures do we have that can accommodate that?
Each of these are already in the general fund. So therefore, regardless of whether we make the budget amendment or not, the board order, they will stay in the general fund. So if you do the board order reducing their salary line items by this amount, that money would then just go to cash carryover into 2026.
Okay.
If it's already in their budget and they don't spend it, which is assuming since they didn't have filled positions, it also just stays in the general fund and carries over into 2026.
Okay.
So that's just again, this is a policy that the board adopted, so I'm bringing it forward to you.
So basically, the money...
Thank you, Mark.
Yes.
The money that was not spent on unfilled positions for 2025 just rolls over into the general fund.
It's cash carryover.
Into the general fund rather than remaining in specific.
Well, they're already in the general fund. So even it already goes into the general fund. It does not stay in their budget going into 2026. It rolls over into the general fund. It's unspent. It's like any other budget money. If it's unspent, it becomes cash carryover, and we start the year of 2026 with the cash carryover. As you know, during the budget process, we budget to have cash carryover because we know that we're not going to spend 100% of our money in any given year. It's not feasible. If we did, we would probably go over budget and create a problem. So,
But Mark, this doesn't change their budget. I mean, just because it's rolling over just means for this, until the end of the year, it goes back. With the budget that's set up, it's still the same with all these positions in it.
well, it reduces that line item, the salaries line item. It would reduce that salaries line item. But it doesn't impact their ability to have the positions. We're not eliminating any positions because starting 2026, they start with a new budget.
Okay. All right.
So it doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't accomplish anything if we do it, but it doesn't impact the budget one way or the other. This is not a savings that we have to make this budget amendment to recognize the savings because it's already unspent. It will just carry over.
But Mark, if we do this today, to me, it just says for next week they can't spend this money.
Well, we wouldn't be able to do it today. We'd be able to do it next week.
So really, what's the purpose of this when their budget is set already?
It does not. If they had some last-minute expenditure that they wanted to try to spend this on, it would prevent that. We already have a policy that says you can only spend salaries on salaries. So
Okay.
I don't know. At this point of the year, I think in July it probably would have been more impactful, but I think at this point of the year it's probably too late. Really.
Oh, okay. On new hires.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
So is there any purpose in doing it?
Well, the purpose is the policy. So the policy says I have to do it. That's why I brought it forward. I don't see that it's really going to create, I think, as Commissioner Smith just pointed out, by the end of the year, I don't think it's going to change what they spend between now and the end of the year, and I don't think it was going to anyways. Now, in July, I think amending it in July, it gives them notice that, hey, you got to really watch this, but at this point, I don't see it.
So if we don't pass the board order that you're talking about, does that money remain in their specific budgets, or does it still go back to the general fund?
On January 1, it goes to the general fund. All unspent money from everybody's individual budgets that are in the general fund goes back into the start of the cash carryover for the general fund.
So I don't know if there's any reason to pass.
I don't see there is. I mean, I think Mark's made it pretty clear from July if we were going to do it. This just doesn't.
Which we didn't do.
Yeah, if we were going to, though, Mike, that would have been the time for all of us to come together on that. So I don't see any reason to even act on it.
Commissioner Cobus, you have a...
I was going to say, I think this policy itself is a waste of time. It's just putting...
It's going to work on him.
Yeah, and we've never done it, I don't think, actually moved it over, because it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other. Either it comes off of this year's budget or next year's mill levy.
That's where I was going with the question.
The only thing I like about it, though, is leaving it for next year's, is it's kind of an emergency fund. If something were to happen, you don't have any room,
Budgets are tight enough. There's no extra to be coming in after something. I understand.
And somebody had said we had millions of dollars of cash carryover, and we don't. We have less than $1 million cash carryover, like $700,000 there, as I can tell. So if an emergency would happen, like say the roof was falling in,
Like it is.
this would be salaries, so you'd have to use it for salaries. But if somebody was leaving or you had to hire somebody,
Never mind that.
say you had another state unfunded mandate where you had to hire somebody, where are you going to get the money?
Yeah.
So this at least gives you an avenue if you had to in an emergency, if you put it on next year. So I think the policy itself
Well, maybe
is a waste
something
of
put down
time.
the line.
I think the best time to address it is kind of like that middle of the year during the budget process. I think that's the best time to address this. So, like at the end of the year, and again, the policy's been in place for quite a while. I think 5 or 6 years. I don't remember from the top of my head, but we changed it last year to make it mandatory that I bring it forward to the board to consider. Before it was the board had to request it. Now I have to present it. So twice a year, and this is the second time. So I think it's probably more impactful at the middle of the year.
Yeah.
Because the way I look at it is it's an emergency fund. If you don't need it,
I
it
agree.
lowers the mill levy.
I agree. On top of that, too, these are elected positions, and if we're going to deal with that when they're coming in for budget, would probably be the correct time to be doing it and ask the hard questions, which we have been doing. But to do it this late in the game, I don't see any need for it unless any of the commissioners see that. Vanessa, you got any take on this? Hello.
I am ready to vote.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead, Mike.
I don't think the policy's worked out the way, when we first initiated the policy, I don't think it has worked out the way we anticipated.
I agree.
Because I think that we had all these positions that weren't being filled, and then we were wanting to, look at be able to keep that from becoming an issue as far as the budget, when you have so many unfilled positions, and you just have budgeted amounts sitting there, but you have several, like, say 30 or 40 unfilled positions, and you're budgeted for that. You can't really address those monies can't really be addressed because they're designated, where if you use this policy, then you have those funds then potentially available. But in the case of this policy, we haven't really followed through on it or ever used it. And certainly at the end of the year like this, there's no real reason to do it, except for the fact that we do have the policy.
And that's why I don't know what your motion is going to be, but I was going to make a motion to drop this policy practice.
Well, I'd like before we drop it, I'd like to bring it back and just study it one more time. I'm in agreement with you, Jeff. It's not done, but I'd like to not hurry and talk about these things before we do it.
That's fine too.
Another regulation just to be there is a waste of time.
Right.
So I guess we just do nothing today.
It doesn't call for any kind of action.
No,
Okay.
I would need direction. I just have to bring it to you, and then you would give me direction if you want to do the board orders, and if you
We don't want to do it.
Good.
Vanessa, you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. That's your vote. Okay. Mark, do you have anything else?
Is that,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Counselor, is what we just did or said, are we breaking any other rules or regulations?
I think it's sufficient. This did not require a vote, and so it seems to be the collective wish of the governing body to direct Mark to let it go for this year.
All right.
Let it go.
Thank you.
Let it go. Let it go. Anything else, Mark? Okay. We'll come around, and I don't believe I have anything right now. Willie, you have anything?
No, I do not.
Vanessa, you have anything?
Sorry I missed you all today. Branson is beautiful. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Rub it in, rub it in. Jeff?
I don't have anything this morning.
Mike?
A couple items. One follow-up with County Councilor and I did not have a chance to talk to you because I just got back into town, but the issue of an advisory referendum election, what did you find on that?
Advisory elections, they are a possibility. They are not favored for it. They are not binding on the commission. It's just to seek advice from the electorate. The issue of advisory elections are you cannot have that. You could have them on the same day as an election day, but you can't have them on the same ballot, and there's some restrictions on how far it has to be from the polling place, and the county would then have to pay for the advisory election.
But it could be done in conjunction, though, with a primary or general election, just at a separate location?
It would have to be at a separate location and a separate, separate ballot too. It's just only that issue that you're seeking advice on, and then the county would absorb the cost of paying for that. Okay.
So, very good. Also, on the issue last week on the project that LCDC brought forward for us to pursue, what are the next steps, or what are the are we going to have a work session, since the goal was to gain information? How should we proceed, or what are some options for proceeding?
So the LCDC staff has submitted the letter of interest to the governor's office, actually to the Department of Commerce, and then once that information is, whatever information they have that they will then allow to be shared, when it's released, it'll come back to us, and I will get it on an agenda for you to review. But so far, all we've done is express our interest. We have not received anything back from the Department of Commerce.
Okay, because I think a lot of this issue is a lot of people want to gather information. And
I think that's the intent, and hopefully they'll have a packet that they're willing to share with us, but so far we have not seen it.
Okay, so also, and maybe this would be for John out here, do we have any category that a nuclear reactor would fit in under our land use?
Morning, John.
Currently, Commissioner, we have no land use designation specifically for nuclear reactors. We would have to approach it from an industrial use.
And do we have like if we were putting a utility, like say we were putting it like a hydroelectric plant or any other kind of electrical plant, would it be also the same answer?
We do have some utility designations. I'd have to take a look at the facility and then classify it after that.
Now, is this something like in other counties that, I'm sure you don't know the answer off the top of your head, but is this typically put into a land use?
Depends on the part of the country that you're in. Some areas of the country are developing nuclear corridors where they look for these particular types of uses, and they plan for them in their particular jurisdiction. A lot of places approach it from an industrial standpoint and then an SUP or a CUP over the top of that. So depends on where you're at. Everybody's in flux in these, from what I can tell. They're trying to develop their position. Most that I know of are approaching it from an industrial use.
Okay, so what I've done, my little research here, and a little research on this the last 2 weeks, and I have, and this is where we need to probably have a work session down the road here, but I have found that Kansas does not seem to have a developed, number one, we don't seem to have an energy policy for the state, and number two, I don't see anything as far as nuclear that would put any kind of regulations or determine like, well, how many total reactors can we have, those kind of issues. And that's basically, that's a question. I think we need to get the answer to that. If there is any kind of a policy, I'm not finding it in the documentation I've been reading. And then I've also found that there's an issue with the regulatory body in Kansas whether they can regulate all of these small reactors or not. And so I guess those are some things to...
Certainly willing to look at everybody's approach and make a recommendation on what's best for us.
So, well, moving forward, I think we just need to figure out what we're going to do as far as identifying these issues. I don't know if we have a work session or when. Yeah. So, thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, John. Anything else, Mike?
I do want to read one little thing, because I figured since we broached this issue, I'm going to, every week in the administrative business, read a little bit of information about what we're talking about. So I'm going to read about the natrium reactor. I did a little research. I'm just going to give a paragraph, not a long reading, but opposition to natrium reactors and sodium-cooled fast reactors generally centers on significant safety worries, including the liquid sodium coolant's flammability and reactivity with water, potential for rapid power spikes and core meltdowns, and concerns over proliferation due to the use of high-assay, low-enriched uranium, HALEU fuel, coupled with the lack of a traditional containment building, making them potentially riskier than conventional reactors. Critics argue that they are untested, expensive, distraction from renewables, while proponents see them as carbon-free energy solution. So I would suggest that this is when we have our work session and we're asking questions, this is going to be one of the questions to ask, whether this would be considered a riskier reactor than a water-cooled reactor. I think that's an important question. And I think over the next few weeks, if we're going to want to learn, we need to start really digging into this. So, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you much. I have one alibi on mine. Last week, I reminded all the county commissioners about our January 21st meeting up here for trying to work with the schools on getting everyone together to maybe educate or talk how we get the message out to our young people. I've talked to the Lansing school superintendent, Marty, and he's already on board. I really need to see if y'all have had a chance and we can make this thing happen. Is anybody else spoke to their superintendent?
I haven't.
Okay, seeing that, county commissioners, I would ask that since we decided to do this, that we make an effort to get with them to make sure their schedule is available to meet up here. If you need a new copy of the letter, you can get it from Becky, but I think this was something that we all agreed on, that we wanted to try to work with them. So if y'all would make an effort to contact your superintendent in your district, I would appreciate it.
And what was the preliminary date on that?
It was January 21st, 11 a.m. up here,
At what time?
11.
Oh, in the daytime?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'd be right after a meeting, I believe. Is that a Wednesday? It is.
Check it out, make sure it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Everybody okay with that?
Thank you.
At 11 o'clock.
We have our marching orders.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, if there's nothing anybody else has, I'll need a motion for the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Motion is second. Any discussion? I'll start the roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
Aye.
All righty. Moving on to,
This is one of those days.
yeah, I've had a lot of those lately. Moving on to formal board action. Consider a motion to find that the proposed final plat as outlined in case DEV 25109 is in compliant with the county zoning and subdivision regulations, and move that the proposed final plat be conditionally approved and accepted by this board, subject to the conditions set forth in the staff report, and is adopted by the planning commission. Good morning, John.
Morning, Commissioners. As you said, DEV-25-0109 is a 33-acre parcel that will be subdivided into 6 lots. This is generally located at Markson Road in Wolcott, eastern side of the county. The Planning Commission made a recommendation to approve this with condition at 5-0 with 3 absent. So everybody there approved it that singular night. With that, a pretty simple plat. I would answer any questions that you have.
Commissioners, any questions, concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we find that the proposed final plat as outlined in case DEV 25109 is compliant with county zoning and subdivision regulations, and move that the proposed final plat be conditionally approved and accepted by this board, subject to the conditions set forth in the staff report and adopted as by the Planning Commission.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Willie, Vanessa? Okay. If not, I'll start the roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Number B, in the form of board action, consider a motion to find that the proposal final plat as outlined in case DEV 25111 is compliant with the county zoning and subdivision regulations, and move that the proposed final plat be conditionally approved and accepted by the board, subject to the conditions set forth in the staff report and adopted by the Planning Commission.
As you said, Commissioner, DEV 25111
Yes.
is a 7.3 acre area that's just south of the previous plat you just approved. This will be subdivided into 2 lots. It's in the rural growth area of Leavenworth County. It does have a couple of exceptions that you can see noted in the report. The exceptions are non-conforming structures. As a product of the subdivision, there's a barn that exists on one of these lots that's considered an accessory structure. You can't have that without a preset primary structure, so that was one of the exceptions. The other is lot depth to lot width, which you see quite a bit, but given the geography of this particular area, there's no choice but to ask for that exception. Both of these were approved at the Planning Commission level. Planning Commission voted 5-0. Again, 3 were absent to approve this. So again, a simple plat in the same general area, south of the area that you just approved.
Okay. Any concerns or questions for John?
No.
If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we find that the proposed final plat as outlined in case DEV 25-111 is compliant with the county zoning and subdivision regulations, and move the proposed final plat be conditionally approved and accepted by this board, subject to the conditions set forth in the staff report and as adopted by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None, I'll start roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
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 All right, that one's done.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Ask him a question.
Yeah, go ahead. John Hoagland,
John,
second.
I want to ask you, since, as you probably heard, and I'm surprised we don't all have our red on, that the Chiefs are coming to Kansas, and it's very close proximity, of course, to Leavenworth County. Do you see or project any direct impact on Leavenworth County as far as the zoning regulations or necessary changes, or the things we need to look at to be proactive in that field?
I think you're probably going to have some density changes on the southern end of the county. I would have to take a look at utility availability and what their general plan is to give you a definite answer. But certainly we'll take a look at whatever information is available as it comes out and offer recommendations as we go down that process. But certainly there will be impacts to Leavenworth County.
And I think maybe we need to, as we move forward, be talking about how we're going to address that.
I think once we get our base information, that's an excellent idea, and I'll certainly be bringing that back to you.
So, very good. Thank you. Appreciate all your
John,
work.
Well, go ahead.
Excuse me, John, with the acquisition of a new stadium in 5 years coming here, is that something that's going to require more power from our area?
Well, I don't know that it would be our specific area necessarily. Again, it's going to have impacts across the board to everybody in our general area. So it really is dependent on plan and availability of utilities, but utilities will certainly be impacted. To what degree, I can't tell you yet until I see a definitive plan.
Okay, all right.
That's coming. Okay.
I'm ahead of it.
Thank you, John. Okay, amendments to the Leavenworth County Budget 2025. I need to open the public hearing. Does anyone in the public would address it? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Consider a motion to approve the amendments to the Leavenworth County Budget 2025. And we can start from there. Mark, I'm going to read these out. Is that what you need?
You want to just do the first one is the budget amendments, and then you have the board orders. So
Yeah.
I could just touch base real quick on the budget amendment.
Okay.
So, Commissioners, we do this every year. It's kind of a wrap-up at the end of the year. Specifically, certain funds are revenue-based, not tax-based. So, like the solid waste fund in particular. The more refuse that we receive at the transfer station, the more the increase in expenditures, but also the revenue offsets it. It is a self-funded, it's funded by fees. So if we have more usage, like we did this year, we spend more money, but we also bring in more revenue. We have to amend the budget in the solid waste fund to allow for the use of that revenue to offset the increase in the expenditures. So it's just a wrap-up at the end of the year. The two tech funds are also fee-based. The fees that are collected in the courthouse fund those. Specifically on the Register of Deeds tech fund, they want to take advantage of some contractual savings that they can realize by signing a contract this year. But in order to do that, they need to amend the budget. Again, it's just using funds that are already in that fund that were just unbudgeted. So no increase in taxes. This is all already there. And I think Stacy is here, so if you had any questions specific to the Treasurer's Tech Fund, you could ask her, but it's a similar thing, just taking advantage of funds that are already there.
That's what we do every year.
So this one is separate. Obviously, it's a budget amendment, so then you would, if the Commission wants
vote
to
on that
support
one.
that, they would vote to amend the 2025 budget.
Okay, questions?
No questions.
Not?
Mr. Lawfrey, do you know yet what the total carryover from 25 to 26 will be?
We won't know that until into midway through January, probably, as we wrap up all the bills that are still outstanding and some of the contracts we're still waiting on bills on. But so I won't know that exactly until middle of January. But we're on track. If we weren't, you would see other amendments to the budget, but we're on track.
Okay. In a motion to approve the amendments to the Leavenworth County budget for 2025.
Okay, motion to approve Board Order 2025-16, transfer funds from the local service.
You're one ahead.
That's ahead. We're doing that next, Mike. We just need to approve the amendments to the Leavenworth.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. Move that we approve the amendments to the Leavenworth County budget for 2025 that was just, that we just had the public hearing over.
Correct. I'll second. Any comments?
No comment.
Start the roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we're getting into D. Consider a motion to approve Board Order 2025-16, transferring funds from the local service fund to the equipment reserve fund in the amount of $200,000. Come on down, Bill.
Either of us.
All right. Here today, Commissioners, for your consideration is that equipment reserve transfer. I do have 3 of these transfers on the agenda today. Primarily what these funds come from are 3 different items. We have the mill that was set aside for bridge improvements that needs to be transferred. So that was approximately $1.1 million. We have the savings from the trap rock that we left in the budget to transfer towards road and bridge improvement projects. And then we have the funds that were spent this year. We had, as we previously discussed, we did the roads up in the northern districts that we did the dust abatement with county crews on. And that period of time that we worked on those projects and the ones that were paid for by the property owners, all of that time that was spent this year was time that we would usually be spending money from our general operating budget. With those funds that we were spending from during that time period, they either came from the property owners or they came from the sales tax fund as a county project. So we had a bit of a savings just from the deferred maintenance that we normally do with the chip and seal. I believe we came in approximately 13 miles under our projected chip and seal quantity, and so a little bit of the portion of these transfers is from that. So I'd be happy to answer any specific questions that you have, but that kind of recaps all 3. I know this one here is for $200,000. That money is being put into equipment reserve, and we are earmarking that money for some facility improvements out of the shop that have been talked about for the past 5 years with a wash bay so we can wash as we set aside enough money to pay for it all. This isn't enough money to pay for the entire project, but we are setting aside money for a wash bay and some salt dome improvements.
Been doing that for a while, though, haven't we?
No, we have not. We've talked about it for a while.
That's
but we
right.
have not actually set
It's
any
never
money
been
aside.
included. That's right. That's right. Okay.
The $200,000 would be set aside for facilities, and then the remaining other ones that you have on your budget are directly going to bridge
Gotcha.
projects.
Okay. Any questions for Bill?
Yes, Bill, do you have a total cost for that project?
Total cost for what, excuse me?
You said that we are setting aside the amount of funds of $200,000.
$200,000. Well, working with Aaron in the past, we had gotten some pricing, and it was closer to $400,000 to do a total project for that. And 145, we just got pricing on a new salt dome that would hold enough salt for the entire season, because we often have problems getting salt, so we looked at a larger salt dome facility at the Tonganoxie Quarry, and it was $145,000. And so the $200,000 isn't going to get us there, but it is a start. And then the other 2 transfers, the $1.2 million is pretty much the entirety of the mill that the board set aside as the budget process last year. And then the 1.7 is the trap rock savings and the savings from the time spent spending funds from the sales tax fund as part of the project. So in total, we're transferring $2.9 million towards road projects and $200,000 towards future facility
We're going to go over
improvements.
those 2.
You are, okay.
Yeah, Bill, we're going to take this one at a time, but I understand you're
Yeah, I
explaining
just
them all
wanted to
right now.
recap, because the $200,000 is
I
a portion
appreciate
of that.
That's the one I want to address right now. So, do we have a motion on that yet, Mike? Or you
Nope, you will, I can go ahead and get it.
Yes, sir.
Move to approve Board Order 2025-16, transferring funds from the local service fund to the Equipment Reserve Fund in the amount of $200,000. And can you once again explain that again, what that was?
Well,
I know what you said,
yes, so
but I didn't process it.
I was jumping ahead on Chairman Smith to some other items too. This specific item is for it's going into the equipment reserve funds. We're starting to set aside money for some facility improvements that we've talked about over the past 6 years. This is not nearly enough money to do it all at once, but we have to start somewhere. And while we have some funds available, and we are transferring later some additional funds for bridges, this money is specific to facilities that we need to start doing some set-asides for facilities, just like we do here at the courthouse, to ensure that we don't have complete failures.
I'll draw you a picture.
There we go.
I'll draw you a picture.
We don't want it.
So this is facilities.
We don't
money.
want complete
In short,
failures.
it's going to facilities.
We got you, brother.
Okay.
We got you. Do we have a second? Do we have a second on this?
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion on it? I think we beat that death. I'll start roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry about that, Bill.
It's anybody here, really. It's anybody here, guys. C, consider a motion to approve Board Order 2025-17, transferring funds from a special buildings and grounds fund to the capital improvement fund designated for the courthouse renovations in the amount of $880,000.
Is that your motion?
We want to see if,
Would you like to hear about it?
yeah, we'd like to hear about it.
Okay.
We got a recorder on.
Mike's on the
This is
roll.
Mike
directly
over here.
affecting the bill that you guys passed for the exterior of the building to include the roof as well as the stone and terracotta work. This is just clarity of transferring that money over so that we have the authority to spend it exactly where you intended to spend the money.
Exactly. We've already spoken on this. Mark, did you have something?
Commissioners, with these transfers, when we have multi-year projects, because you can only approve a budget for 1 year, we have special funds, and those funds are the reserve funds.
Right.
So we transfer the money into those reserve funds to build up a certain amount of money as we go, so that then when we pay the project, we have the money available. It's just a special fund. A reserve fund is a special fund. We have multiple of them, some for equipment, some for buildings and grounds, some for bridges that you'll hear later. So this is just taking the money that, and we wait until the end of the year to make sure that we don't have a budget crisis that we have to use it for. And then at the end of the year, we come in and ask the board to transfer it into that special fund, which is the buildings reserve fund in this case. And then that way, as we start the terracotta project, we're setting that money aside and we can pay the bill when it comes.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
I didn't have anything.
Okay. Jeff, anybody have anything?
No.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve Board Order 2025-17, transferring funds from the Special Buildings and Grounds Fund to the Capital Improvement Fund designated for courthouse renovations in the amount of $880,000.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on this?
I do have a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
The project, we all were thinking we'd be around $5 million. Has that changed at all?
No, sir. The current projected number that we have is still holding the cost that we received from Pullman on the lowest bid, or well, they were the lowest projected bid because they encompassed the entire project and they didn't leave out items that we had requested numbers for. We have not seen any change orders at all thus far, and I'm hoping and projecting that we do not see change orders, sir.
Good.
Change orders are terrible thing.
So this is this is for people to understand that this courthouse roof issue came up, and the deterioration was much worse than anticipated. And instead of issuing bonds or finding other financing mechanisms, we've actually just used the mill, and we're pay as you go. And I think it's pretty good government to do it that way.
Yes, sir.
And this is the $5 million that the past commissioners did not put a depreciation fund aside to replace the roof. So they just assumed it would last forever.
And did we have a little set aside at all?
Well, sir, prior to my coming, you had to pass a mill rate to replace your Justice Center roof.
Not us.
So your funds that were set aside were not sufficient for your projects that you would need. Just like one would anticipate projects at their home, this is a commercial buildings, you have to allocate correctly to make sure that you can maintain your property.
And going forward, are we
We are doing our
corrected that
best. We are
situation?
doing our best at maintaining as well, while also being conscientious of tax dollars.
So I think that's a good thing for taxpayers to know, is that that situation's been corrected, and we're trying. It still may not always pay the entire amount, but
Correct, sir.
we're trying to have a capital improvement fund, or is that what you call a capital
Yes, sir.
improvement fund for these kind of things in the future?
We're projecting cost out at a greater distance so that way you guys are aware of projects that are going to happen before it's a knee-jerk reaction.
That's
It's
the
a
catch.
forecasting reaction.
Very good.
That's the catch right there. Because before, I don't think like Jeff Culberson was saying, it was passed down the line. If we're not inspecting, especially expecting what you've started doing, Aaron, then we're going to come in. Because I can tell you right now, some of the sidewalks and steps around this courthouse are a disaster, an accident waiting to happen.
Yep.
I don't know if that's included in this. I know I shouldn't have said it like that. I don't know if that's included in this or not.
That is you wouldn't replace all your sidewalks when you're getting ready
I
to
know.
drive aerial equipment over across it for the next 2 years. That's the project that Mark and I have discussed after we finish
Okay.
the exterior of it, start replacing the sidewalks. But you're going to damage your sidewalks when you start putting aerial equipment on it. Replacing it now would be a
Makes
waste
sense.
of taxpayer
I just
money.
want to make sure we're aware that we probably need to take a look at that too.
Yes, sir.
Or maybe you have crutches or canes set aside.
And I've got crutches. Yeah.
And
Yes,
then,
Steve,
Tom,
Mark,
obviously,
I-
the
I-
annex parking lot, what's the status of that?
I take that back.
That is something that we have to allocate funds for and remove. That'll be a full removal and replace. If that's a 2026 project that we'd like to move forward to, I would definitely bid it and put it out there.
Well, it's been a long time.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, that's all I have.
Okay, where are we at on this thing? Do we make a motion yet?
Let's ask them. Did we make a motion?
Where are we at, Mark?
I think we still need the motion.
Okay.
Okay. Ready for vote? I guess.
Let me check this out.
Under F?
I got sidetracked.
Yeah, we did make, okay.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, I'll start with call. Aye.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Vanessa? Was that sneeze and aye?
Yes.
Okay,
Aye.
okay, we're good to go. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you guys are doing too, and gals. Consider a motion to approve Board Order 2025-18, transferring funds from the Road and Bridge Fund to a capital road fund in the amount of $1,700,000.
Commissioners, I touched on this earlier. This money is part of the 5-year CIP, and it is part of the mill that was set aside. It needed to be transferred, as well as some funds from savings of the Trap Rock, and a little bit of the funding that was available from the amount of projects that were completed. It'll be going to bridges.
Yeah, you've already touched on this. Okay, if there's no discussion, I need a motion on this.
Motion to approve Board Order 2025-18, transferring funds from the Road and Bridge Fund to the Capital Road Fund in the amount of $1,700,000.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? I'll start roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
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 All right. Moving on, consider a motion to approve Board Order 2025-19, transferring funds from the Local Service Road and Bridge Fund to the Capital Road Fund in the amount of $1,200,000.
Commissioners, this is the same thing. This will be going directly to the fund that we pay for bridges out of. That's in the 5-year CIP. And it is the same money that we've already discussed.
Okay.
Motion to approve Board Order 2025-19, transferring funds from the Local Service Road and Bridge Fund to the Capital Road Fund in the amount of $1,200,000.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? I'll start the roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
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 Okay. H, consider a motion to accept the bid from Norfolk Contracting for the replacement of Bridge A07 for Compton Road in the amount of $226,469 with a 10% contingency fund.
Commissioners, today for your consideration is the acceptance of the low bid. Based on that motion here today, we will issue a notice to proceed, or a notice of award to move this project forward. 3 bids received for the construction of the bridge. The project is anticipated to start in late spring. It is located on Lecompton Road. This will be the first that I'm aware of this type of bridge structure being constructed in Leavenworth County. It is a prefabricated deck, so it will reduce the amount of time that the closure lasts, and it should allow for a structure to be built in a controlled environment. They will put in the head walls. They will then bring the deck of the bridge out on a semi, and they will set it on top of the head walls with a crane. So this process is both faster and cheaper than building it on site. Obviously, there are size restrictions because you're hauling the deck. So this was as directed by the board, this is the most economical, fastest way to build a bridge. And so we are going to give this an opportunity to see how it works. I don't anticipate any issues other than the pile length, which comes up on every steel bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we saw in Lansing. We did like that, but it's worked well. And maintenance, like anything else, though, Bill.
Yep.
Any questions, comments?
Yes. Excuse me, Bill. Where has this been done before, where they actually bring in the platform of the bridge and install it?
Well, it's done all the time on the railroad. It's really typical for a railroad bridge, and it's really typical for small, short-span bridges on high-traffic areas that they want to reduce the amount of time that the closure occurs, because you don't have to wait the 28-day cure period after you pour the deck on the bridge with the concrete. And so in areas that you have very high traffic counts on very short-span boxes or bridges, this is an option to use as well. The railroad uses them all the time because they try to replace a bridge in a number of days, not even this project. We allow 45 working days, a month and a half to get it done, basically. We anticipate it could, with good weather, be done in less than a month. And so it's for short span bridges that have people need to reduce the closures of. They're also a little more economical because you're not in the field building the deck. So they're building it in a warehouse facility in Nebraska, generally. That's where I believe this will come from. And then they haul it down here on a semi. So when you have assembly line type bridge process there, I assume that it reduced the cost.
Well, have you ever been out to the Lake Community, Lake Bernard Park, 4-H, where we used to do fireworks? Look at that bridge. It's not exactly what Bill's, but it's very similar. They brought it in with the crane. It's a steel structure. And there's some things every once in a while you have to go in, you're going to repair on a bridge like that, especially keep an eye on underneath it. But it's worked well. It's been out there for years. So,
Bill, have the bridge between Johnson County and Leavenworth County that goes into DeSoto, was that bridge part of that, where they brought in mechanisms to put that there first?
I'd have to look at that one. I think it was a pre-stressed truss bridge, more than likely, where they bring in the concrete beams and then they put the deck on top of it. So it's a little bit different type structure.
Okay.
This one, they're putting in hundreds of them in the Midwest all the time, and they put them on all the railroads. It's not overly experimental. It's very common, and at the cost of $226,000 for the bridge replacement, it's more economical than any bridge that we put in. So this is primarily an agricultural road that goes into the Stranger Bottoms. So while this road has very low traffic count on any given day, it may only have 20 vehicles a day on average. During harvest, it may see several hundred semis a day because they're coming out of that Stranger Bottoms, and this is one of the main routes out of a very large agricultural area. So it gets a ton of semi-traffic. So I don't anticipate any issues, and it'll be a very quick project.
Thank you.
okay.
I've seen one of these on a video, and I was amazed at how quickly they put it down.
I don't know how the railroad does it. I'd have to really research theirs, but they do it in a matter of days. I think they reuse the head walls and they can actually replace some of these bridges in a day. If the head walls are still in good shape and the deck's starting to fail, they can just wheel in another one, set it down, and wheel it off and be back operational within 24 hours.
Pretty spiffy. Any other questions? We already have a motion on this, I can't remember.
We do not.
Okay, can you get one?
Motion to accept the bid from Norfolk Contracting for the replacement of Bridge A07 Lecompton Road in the amount of $226,469 with a 10% contingency.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
Discussion.
I'll start roll call, aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Consider a motion to accept a design proposal contract from SMH Engineering for 235th Street from 4H Road to K92 Highway in the amount of $475,555.
Commissioners, today is your consideration of the design work only for the section of 235th Street between 4H Road and K92. We did solicit 4 engineering firms. We received 2 proposals, one from SMH and one from Kimley Horn. Both of them qualified under our criteria as being KDOT pre-qualified. And we met as a selection committee, and the recommendation was to move forward with SMH. And then we received pricing for what that would cost, and it was slightly less than some of the competition, and so we have come here today for approval.
Discussion? I think we all know this. Go ahead, Mike.
I move that we accept the design proposal contract from SMH Engineering for 235th Street from 4H Road to K92 Highway in the amount of $475,555.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
This is this will be moving ahead on County Road 30. We're making progress.
Getting there, yeah.
This is the final phase.
Yep.
And in the congressional authorization, we have the $6 million is sitting there, waiting to be
It's on the
acted on.
list.
Some of this.
It's on the list.
It's on the list, waiting to be acted on, and we've already received $2 million, correct? The last congressional authorization.
Yes, we received $2 million from the congressionally directed funding, and then 1.1 or 1.2, I can't remember the exact amount here today, but from the Kansas Cost Share Program. So approximately $3.1 million of the current project that's under construction.
And that's up to Dempsey Road, and then we'll move up all the way to 92 Highway. Then you'll have a paved road, go from Easton to Lawrence, paved road on the west end of the county.
We're designing it, currently we're starting acquisition, and we have the design plans probably 80%, 90% complete. From Dempsey to 4H, that's 2.5 miles. And then now we're entering it, that's with Finney and Turnipseed, and then now we're entering into this contract, if approved today, for the last 1.5 miles to be prepared by next year, next year to bid if we were to receive that $6 million.
And this project directly benefits the northern part of the county. So it ties in with the things we've been trying to do.
Bill, look right at Jeff. Tell him this benefit.
Throw him a kiss.
Promise? Promise?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. I'll start the roll call. Aye. Aye. Vanessa?
Aye.
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 All right, very good. Consider a motion to approve to request KDOT to enter into an agreement to allow the county to relocate the Sherman Township Salt Dome and Greater Storage to their K32 storage area. Go ahead, Bill.
Commissioners, this is another item that has been discussed over the past 6 years, on and off. I believe
Yeah.
predates me even from more than 6 years ago. There is a KDOT storage area on K32 Highway near Linwood that is very centrally located and would offer some logistic advantages for the county to have a salt dome at this location and store the grader. Currently, it is stored at a fire station where we share some space with Sherman Township, where we rent that space, we would need to. We have had some discussions with KDOT. they were receptive to this. We currently allow them to use some space of county property at the Tonganoxie Quarry, and we use some of their space on US 73 north of Leavenworth near the Atchison County line, where we also have the salt dome. So this would just be a third location. More than likely, there will be a fence being constructed. I would want a fence constructed around the area as part of an agreement with KDOT, just to secure our equipment. In the past, we did have some equipment stolen in 2020 from the one up north, and so we'd want to secure that location and then relocate the salt dome there if that's the direction the board wants to visit.
Questions, concerns?
Do you already have a preliminary memo understanding or letter agreement with KDOT in the works?
No, what you're considering here today is allow us to send a formal letter to KDOT. We've had some discussions. They were open to the idea of it. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just going to be a hard no, but they said that we need to send them a formal letter from the Board of County Commissioners making the request to initiate the MOU process to begin and move this forward. So currently we have nothing other than some conversations that I wanted to bring here to you today to discuss, and then a formal letter would be sent to them if approved, and then we would work towards coming up with an MOU for a perpetual storage location there.
And you anticipate no cost?
No cost? No, there will be some cost. We'll have to relocate the salt dome there. We may...
I guess I worded that wrong. A yearly cost?
A yearly cost. We anticipate this to have no cost moving forward perpetually. It would just be an MOU. There would be some upfront cost. Currently, we have a yearly cost. We're providing some maintenance. We're clearing some of the snow from the fire
Where's
station.
located at now?
Are you talking about costs as far as KDOT renting
Like
site or something?
right now, we're paying a rental cost to the township.
Yeah.
We won't have that.
No, we would have no cost moving forward after we
That's
rent.
what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, and we've done this a couple times before.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
KDOT right away. The salt domes up north, 2 of them are on KDOT.
I think it's a good idea.
Well, lately I've had an issue of I have to repeat myself 3 times so that it's understood.
It's the end of the year.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request of KDOT to enter into an agreement to allow the county to relocate Sherman Township Salt Dome and greater storage to their K-32 storage area.
Second.
Motion and second. Any more discussion?
This is a good idea.
It is, really is. I'll start roll call. Aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
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 All right. Hey, before we go any further, we're just going to go. We're going to do executive session now. We're going to need one. Willie, if you'll send to us.
Mr. Chairman, I move the board recess for a closed executive session to consult with our attorneys and the legal interests of the county, which would be deemed privileged to attorney-client relationship as permitted under Kansas Open Meetings Act, and that board resume opens meeting
10:15.
at 10:15 a.m. Meeting room at in the meeting room. Present in the executive session will be Commissioners Mike Smith, Jeff Colson, Willie Dove, Mike Stephen, County Administrator Mark Lowry, County Councilor Misty Brown, and Deputy Commissioner John Kalib.
And Vanessa.
Vanessa's going to
Via
transfer
phone.
into
Is she? Yeah, she's going to be in there
Phone.
by phone. So,
And include Vanessa on the phone.
okay. Got a motion? Need a second?
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, let's head in then.
The board is returned at regular session at 10:15 a.m. No action was taken, no decisions were made. Subject was limited to legal interest of the county.
Thank you. Okay, next item is just presentation discussions. I have nothing else to share with the board. Willie?
I have nothing else to discuss on unless Mr. Culberson wants to talk about our conversation with
NACO.
Yesterday and how he feels about that.
Yeah, go ahead. You want me to talk about it?
I'll
Okay.
Okay.
I'll have the floor here.
Okay.
I'll get it. I'll come
You want
on
Vanessa?
to you. Vanessa, do you have anything else?
I I was just going to congratulate Chair Smith on his ticket for the governor's race and wish him the best of luck.
Thank you, Vanessa. Jeff?
So yes, Commissioner Doe was talking about, we met with, on the phone yesterday with a representative from NACO who has contacts with DC and the federal government as far as pilot checks go, and we explained to her, Shelby, was it Shelby?
Shelby, yes.
We explained to her our situation in Leavenworth County where the state makes all 105 counties use property tax only to pay our bills. So when we have a county that's 56% exempt from paying property tax, 44% of us are paying all the bills. And I think it was kind of hard for her to swallow that. And so when she began to grasp the gravity of the situation, I think she's going to try to help us get with the right people and the right folks. We've been working on this. I know you know Mike and Mike for 6 years now, working with DC, and everybody on the DC side is positive about it. It's just getting the right folks to actually get.
Sounds like you guys may make some headway on that.
So we're hoping.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And my purpose in having Commissioner Culberson go through that is because I think that we should keep the public informed that we are working on it, and those individuals that are tuning in, that they can hear that there is some progress being made. It's kind of slow, but this is, I think, the furthest that we've gotten to bringing in the DOD.
That's a good idea.
And I was going to read you basically what I read to her.
Okay.
And this was in one of the presentations that I gave at one of the meetings over the years. The biggest problem causing high property taxes in Leavenworth County is because the state is making every county use property tax to cover budgets. The property tax system does not work well for about a dozen counties like us. Leavenworth County is 56% property tax exempt, so only 44% of us are paying all the bills. That in itself has you paying over twice as much as you should be paying. Fort Leavenworth, federal and state prisons, church-owned property, and schools all add up to over $3 billion in valuation that is all property tax exempt. They don't pay any property tax to maintain our roads and bridges, to blade our snow, to replace worn-out equipment, to use our ambulance service, police, fire, mutual aid, etc., etc. They use it all, but only me and you pay for it. The federal government, causing the biggest problem for this, already acknowledges this is an issue. They understand some cities and counties could not afford to stay in business without a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes. If a community has a DOI facility, Department of Interior, the feds pay those communities millions of dollars to replace the lost property taxes. But if it has a DOD facility, Department of Defense, like Fort Leavenworth, they don't pay the community a pilot check. We think it's because they feel there's a trade-off for jobs. DOD facilities usually come with a lot of jobs, which they do, but having more jobs is an income tax. That does not help the county budget based on property tax at all. So basically, everyone agreed to pay higher property taxes in trade for having more jobs here. If the federal government would pay Leavenworth County a pilot check to replace the lost property taxes, this would fix our high property taxes in Leavenworth County. Over $3 billion in valuation should be paying about $30 million a year in property taxes, and they are not. So that's basically what we talked to Shelby, and she's going to try to get it.
Anybody we can get to listen, especially that's on the other side. That's good. That's
on a Zoom meeting?
Gentlemen.
Yeah, yesterday morning. Kind of. It was supposed to be a Zoom meeting, but something fell through, so it was a phone.
You still have to talk to them. That's key. Anything else?
That's it.
Mike?
Well, I am going to follow up on what Vanessa said, and I'm going to congratulate Commissioner Smith for being a candidate for Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you, Mike.
And I think you should tell us a little bit about it. But it would be exciting for Leavenworth County, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Mike. It's just, I heard Willie say one time that if you keep electing the same people, you're going to keep getting the same results.
Every time.
And so I know this is a different avenue, but I just think that, and we're just talking about it, if we're going to get something done with the property tax, which is my biggest issue, I think, on anything I do around here, and is that we got to make some changes. So threw my hat in the race with Stacey Rogers, who's out of Wichita, and we'll see what happens. But my whole thing is to make a difference in the state, but especially in Leavenworth County. Leavenworth County. Anything else, Mike?
Nope, I'm just backing you up.
Okay. Need a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn
Second.
today's meeting.
Aye.
Aye.
Vanessa?
Aye.
Aye.
You say aye, Mike?
I did.
Okay, we are adjourned. Good meeting. Thank you, folks.
I said